Have you ever been asked a question that sounded gentle, but made your stomach tighten? The tone was calm. The smile was polite. But something inside you whispered, no, something's wrong. That's how manipulators work. Not through open hostility, but through psychological traps dressed as concern. They ask questions that look harmless. But each one is a hook designed to pull you off balance. To make you doubt what you see, what you feel, and what you know. The ancient Stoics, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, all warned us. The mind is conquered not by force, but by confusion. And confusion begins with a question. So let's expose the 10 most manipulative questions ever asked. 10 quiet daggers used to twist your perception and make you surrender your peace. And more importantly, I'll show you how to respond like a Stoic. Calm, clear, untouchable. Because once you see the trap, you stop being the prey. You become the calm within the storm. Question 1. Why are you being so sensitive? It sounds caring. Almost gentle. But this is not compassion, it's deflection. They're not asking. They're accusing. They want you to believe that your clarity is a flaw. That your discomfort is irrational. That your boundaries are the real problem. It's a trick to make you second-guess your own intuition. Because once you question your instincts, they win. But sensitivity is not weakness. It's awareness. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Manipulators weaponize that. They want you to suffer inside your mind while protecting their image. So when someone asks, "Why are you being so sensitive?" Look them in the eye and say, "I'm not being sensitive. I'm being perceptive." Does that make you uncomfortable? Calm. Direct. Unapologetic. Because true power is perception guided by reason. Question 2. You trust me, don't you? The hostage-taking of trust. This question is not a query, it's a coercion. It sounds like a vulnerable plea for reassurance, but it functions as a subtle form of emotional hostage-taking. The manipulator isn't offering you a choice, they are presenting you with a loyalty test where the only correct answer is blind compliance. The deeper trap, the bypass of reason. The true insidiousness of, "You trust me, don't you?" lies in its attempt to create a false dichotomy in your mind. Either you are a trusting, loyal person, or you are a paranoid, critical one. They frame discernment as disloyalty. By appealing to the sacred bond of trust, they pressure you to switch off your critical thinking, the very faculty that discerns who is actually trustworthy. A person who has consistently earned your trust doesn't need to ask for it, their actions have already built a foundation of security. The need to verbally demand it is a confession that this foundation is crumbling or non-existent. They are trying to use your own virtue, your desire to be a loyal and trusting person, against you. The Stoic reframe, trust is a verdict, not a gift. The Stoics were masters of discernment. They believed in judging things as they are, not as we wish them to be. For a Stoic, trust is not an emotion to be given freely, it is a rational conclusion based on observable evidence. It is the cumulative result of honesty, reliability, and integrity over time. Epictetus's warning, "It is impossible to learn what you think you already know," is the perfect antidote here. The manipulator depends on you assuming you already know they are trustworthy, so you stop learning, stop questioning, and stop seeing the red flags. The Stoic, however, remains a perpetual student of character, always updating their understanding based on new evidence. Your expanded arsenal of responses. The goal is not to be combative, but to re-establish the rational framework they are trying to dismantle. The clarifying probe. Trust is the result of consistent action, not a single promise. Is there something specific that makes you feel that result is in question? This calmly places the responsibility back on their behavior and forces specificity. The boundary setter. I trust people based on their integrity, not their requests. My judgment is my responsibility, and I intend to keep using it. This is a more direct assertion of your sovereignty, making it clear your discernment is not negotiable. The simple, unshakable truth. I am listening to your words, but I am guided by your actions. This elegantly states that their performance cannot override the evidence. Question 3. Are you accusing me? The art of strategic victimhood. This is the rhetorical equivalent of jiu-jitsu. The manipulator uses the force of your legitimate inquiry and flips it, making themselves the victim and you the aggressor. It is a masterful act of misdirection, designed to derail the conversation from their behavior to your tone. The deeper trap, manufacturing your guilt. The question, are you accusing me, is a semantic weapon. It reframes your search for clarity. Can you explain this? As an act of aggression, you are attacking me. This triggers a deeply ingrained social reflex to avoid conflict and reassure others we mean no harm. You immediately find yourself backpedaling. No, I'm not accusing you, I just meant. In that moment, you have surrendered. The original issue is lost, and you are now busy managing their manufactured feelings of being attacked. The Stoic reframe, hold the mirror of reality. Marcus Aurelius advised, the best answer to anger is silence. In this context, silence is not passive, it is a powerful, active tool. It breaks the script. The manipulator expects a reactive, emotional defense. Your calm silence denies them that energy. It gives you a moment to recenter in reason and remember, you are not responsible for their defensive interpretation of a simple question. Your power lies in refusing to accept the frame they have created. You are not an accuser, you are a person seeking understanding. Your expanded arsenal of responses. Your tone should be one of calm curiosity, not confrontation. You are simply reflecting their question back to them for examination. The reflective pivot. I've asked a question about a specific action. The fact that you're interpreting it as an accusation is interesting. Why is that? This brilliantly dissects their tactic without engaging in it, forcing them to justify their own defensive framing. The unflinching return. I'm observing a discrepancy. My intention is to understand it. Yours seems to be to deflect it. Should we address the observation first? This is a more advanced, direct call out of the dynamic, re-establishing the agenda of the conversation with immense clarity. The classic Stoic reversal. Should I be? I'm simply examining the facts. If the facts are sound, there's no accusation to be made. If they are not, that's what we need to discuss. This expands on the powerful, should I be, by explicitly tying it back to the unemotional realm of facts, making your position unassailable. Question 4, would I lie to you? The pageant of false integrity. This question is pure theater, a staged performance of honesty designed to shame your intuition into silence. It's a preemptive strike against your doubt, appealing to your emotions to bypass your logic. The deeper trap, the exploitation of your good nature. The manipulator knows that a decent person hates the idea of falsely suspecting an innocent one. They weaponize this virtue. By acting wounded and asking, how could you think such a thing, they make you feel like the bad guy for merely entertaining a doubt. They are counting on your empathy and desire to be fair to override the quiet, persistent voice of your own perception. The louder the performance, the more they protest, the less you should believe them. Truth is quiet and self-evident, it doesn't need to announce itself with fanfare. The Stoic reframe, integrity is a way of life, not a soundbite. Seneca's dictum, if it is not true, don't speak it. If it is not right, don't do it, is a description of a life lived in integrity. For the person who lives this way, the question, would I lie to you, would never even occur to them, because their every action is aligned with truth. The need to verbally assert one's honesty is, in itself, a profound contradiction. The Stoic looks past the performance and evaluates the consistent pattern of behavior. Your expanded arsenal of responses. Your aim is to decline the invitation to their theatrical performance and return to the substance of the issue. The disarming reframe. A truthful person doesn't need to ask that question, their history speaks for them. Let's focus on the situation at hand, not on performances of character. This calmly states the principle and explicitly names the performance, robbing it of its power. The logical counter. That's a question about your character, which is demonstrated over time. My question is about this specific event. Can we address the event with facts? This cleanly separates the abstract question of character from the concrete issue, forcing the conversation back to solid ground. The masterful pivot. That's not the question. The real question is, does the evidence support your statement? My trust is built on evidence, not on rhetorical questions. This expands the original powerful response by explicitly stating the Stoic principle that trust is evidence-based, making your position intellectually unassailable. By understanding the deeper mechanics of these traps and expanding your repertoire of calm, reasoned responses, you do more than just defend yourself. You build an inner citadel of clarity that no manipulator can ever penetrate. Question 5. Can't we just move on? It sounds like peace. It sounds like closure. It sounds like maturity. But it's not. Can't we just move on, is not an invitation to heal. It's an attempt to erase. It's a question that arrives when truth starts to burn. When lies are cornered. When the mask begins to slip. On the surface, it's a plea for calm. But underneath, it's a command: stop asking. Stop digging. Stop holding me accountable. What they're really saying is, I don't want accountability. I'm tired of being questioned. I want my comfort back. Let's pretend none of this happened, so I can keep my image clean. It's not closure. It's cover-up. It's not resolution. It's repression. And here's the paradox. They call it moving on. But what they're really asking for is your silence. The psychology behind it. Manipulators understand that fatigue is more effective than logic. They know most people don't quit because of lack of truth, they quit because of exhaustion. They will drag the conversation long enough until you just give up. And when you finally stop questioning, they label your silence as forgiveness. It's a psychological surrender, not peace, but pressure relief. They want you to walk away, not because the issue is solved, but because they're done feeling uncomfortable. Can't we just move on, is their way of shifting the moral spotlight. Making you look cruel for wanting clarity. Now, the one seeking truth becomes the villain. The one who lied becomes the victim of negativity. And suddenly, you're defending your right to understand what really happened. That's how subtle control works, it makes you feel guilty for seeking truth. The Stoic perspective. Marcus Aurelius reminded us. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. To a Stoic, truth is not optional, it's sacred. It's not something we move on from when it becomes uncomfortable. It's the foundation of inner peace. The Stoics didn't believe in burying pain, they believed in transforming it. Because unresolved truth becomes inner poison. You can suppress it for a moment, but it will resurface later as resentment, mistrust, or quiet bitterness. When you skip accountability in the name of moving on, you don't actually heal, you delay collapse. Real peace can't exist where lies are protected. You can't build serenity on denial. So when someone says, "Can't we just move on?" Pause for a moment. Look at the situation as Marcus Aurelius would, without emotion, without anger, just observation. Ask yourself, are we moving forward, or are we running away? The emotional trap. Here's the emotional trick inside that question. They appeal to your empathy. They make you feel like your insistence on truth is cruelty. They sigh. They sound tired. They may even play hurt. I just want us to be okay again. Why can't we move on? That's emotional sleight of hand. Because it's not about healing together, it's about protecting their comfort. Notice the timing. They never say, move on, when they're the ones seeking answers. They say it only when the truth threatens them. A Stoic knows that compassion without truth is self-betrayal. Forgiveness without understanding is blindness. So don't let guilt push you into silence. You can be compassionate and firm. You can be kind and still demand clarity. The Stoic response. When someone asks, can't we just move on? You don't need to shout. You don't need to argue. The Stoic way is calm, grounded, surgical. Look them in the eye and say, I'll move on when I understand what happened, not a moment before. That one sentence reclaims your power. It's not emotional. It's not defensive. It's simply truth asserting its right to exist. If they care about resolution, they'll stay and talk. If they care only about comfort, they'll flee, and their reaction will tell you everything. Why truth matters? Because truth doesn't expire. It doesn't lose relevance with time. And silence doesn't make it disappear, it makes it metastasize. Every relationship, romantic, professional, or personal, is built on trust. And trust is not repaired by pretending. It's repaired by honesty, by courage, by patience. Stoicism isn't about emotional detachment from life. It's about moral attachment to truth. So no matter how many times they say, let's just move on. Remember, moving on without understanding is not maturity. It's moral laziness. The Stoic's lesson. A Stoic doesn't rush to closure. He waits for clarity. He values understanding more than comfort. Because false peace is worse than open conflict, at least conflict reveals where you stand. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, slander, and manipulation during his reign. But he never sought peace through avoidance. He sought peace through understanding. He knew that to move on without wisdom is to repeat the same trap in another form. So don't rush to close the book before reading the final chapter. Don't let someone convince you that silence equals strength. Sometimes, peace begins only after the truth has spoken, even if it shakes the ground beneath you. Can't we just move on, really means. I don't want accountability. I'm tired of your questions. I want the comfort of my lie. The illusion of peace. When manipulators say, let's move on, they're not seeking peace, they're seeking escape. They want silence, not resolution. They want you calm enough to forget, not wise enough to see. It's a strategy, a psychological sedative. They weaponize calmness to make you doubt your own intensity. Suddenly, you're the one who can't let go, the one stuck in the past, the one overreacting. But truth doesn't dissolve just because someone is uncomfortable with it. Peace without truth is just paralysis. It's emotional anesthesia, the pain is numbed, but the wound is still open. Stoic wisdom, truth before tranquility. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That's not just moral advice, it's psychological protection. The Stoics understood that genuine peace comes from alignment between reality and integrity. When something wrong has been done, moving on without truth only chains your soul to unresolved chaos. Forgiveness without truth is submission. Acceptance without accountability is self-betrayal. A Stoic doesn't cling to pain, but he refuses to be gaslit into silence. He knows that facing reality, however ugly, is the only way to be truly free. Emotional alchemy, from pain to clarity. When you refuse the false comfort of moving on, you're not being bitter, you're being awake. You're transforming emotion into understanding, and understanding into power. You begin to see patterns, the same phrases, the same evasions, the same charm that once disarmed you. You realize, can't we just move on, is never about healing, it's about preservation, their preservation. Because the truth threatens their image, and accountability threatens their control. Your persistence becomes their exposure. The manipulator's fear, exposure. To a manipulator, truth is sunlight, and their entire survival depends on the shadows. They thrive in ambiguity, in the emotional fog where guilt and doubt blend together. So when you demand truth, you're not just asking questions, you're dismantling their power source. That's why they'll accuse you of being too intense, too serious, or too emotional. It's projection. They are the ones terrified of reality, yet they'll frame your search for truth as instability. This reversal keeps them safe. As long as you accept the guilt, they keep their mask. How to respond like a Stoic. When they say, "Can't we just move on?" Respond, not with emotion, but with composure. Say nothing at first. Let silence do the work. Because silence in that moment is power, it forces them to confront their own discomfort. Then, if you speak, speak only once, and with clarity. We can move on, but only from truth, not denial. That sentence alone exposes everything. It's calm. It's rational. It's immovable. It reclaims your peace from manipulation and gives it back to integrity. The final lesson. Moving on doesn't mean forgetting, it means learning. It means seeing through the pattern, not falling for the next apology wrapped in the same lie. Real closure isn't granted by the one who hurt you, it's built within you, when you decide to stop dancing with delusion. A Stoic heart doesn't chase closure. It creates distance. It reclaims power. And it walks forward, not moving on from the past, but rising above it.